Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. And now to honor America, please join in the singing of our national anthem. Representing the three-time Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils, Arlette.
I feel like I'm at a game. Oh my gosh. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Happy Devil's Sunday. I was a little subtle with my Happy Devil's Sunday, guys.
Just a little bit.
Just because this is the season 2 finale of the Let's Go Devils podcast, season 2, episode 40. Show title, we just got a little lazy and ripped off some a title from the New York Post, a Larry Brooks article today. Will Taylor Hall stay? We even tagged him on our Twitter and Periscope feed at Halsey. Is it at Halsey09? I think that's what his Twitter handle is. And hopefully he's watching us as we talk about his NHL future. We are on Facebook Live at Let's Go Devils Podcast. Again, Twitter and Periscope at Let's Go Devils Pod. Again, it's at Let's Go Devils Pod. You can also visit us on our YouTube channel. YouTube. We're actually doing pretty well on YouTube. I got some criticisms the other day saying that Sam has not left the mid-90s. Well, good, because I don't want to be a millennial.
Hey, I thought you were. I thought we were not in touch with the before 2000s. And happy belated birthday! A lot of shout outs for you there, Shorts Guy. Happy belated birthday!
Oh, thank you very much.
Shorts Guy, when was it your birthday? I should know this stuff.
It was on Friday, Sam. It was the 5th.
Oh. And happy Devil's belated birthday. Thank you for reminding me, Beer Baron, in front of all of our listeners Sunday. Shorts Guy, I'll make it up to you. Anyway, so that is the topic at hand for the Let's Go Devils podcast. We've got a lot of people filing in the Facebook Live group, especially a lot of people from Australia tuning in because it is probably 9 a.m. out there in the outback somewhere in the middle of Australia.
Congratulations, Jake Wigley. Sorry.
Yeah.
Jake got married.
What happened to Jake? Oh, well, congratulations, Jake.
Congratulations
Well,
to Jake.
why didn't you tell us earlier? Hey, well,
I think he's telling us now, Sam.
yeah.
And thank you, Anna.
Well, yeah. Well, you know, this is what you're going to be hearing soon. Maybe 5th year into your marriage. Anyway, sorry, I just had to play that. All right.
Gosh.
This is a slow start to the Let's Go Devils podcast. Will Taylor Hall stay? Well, that is a good question. I read Larry Brooks's article. Personally, I like the guy because when he writes, sometimes he trolls. I loved watching his relationship with former New York Rangers head coach John Tortorella, always calling out Larry Brooks. So if you haven't seen it yet, just go to YouTube and type in John Tortorella and Larry Brooks. Some of those press conferences are hilarious. It's definitely a sideshow, but you know what? I kind of like that stuff. Me personally, it's a guilty pleasure of mine is watching that kind of thing. But yeah, will Taylor Hall stay? I've got a lot of thoughts on that. But also the other question is, if you were Ray Shero and Taylor Hall is going to cost you $13-14 million, money talks both ways. So we can always delve into that as well. Beer Baron, I'm going to put you on the spot here. What do you think?
Sure.
Will Taylor Hall stay?
I think he's going to stay, just for the simple fact that I think that Ray Shero is working with him. I mean, if you think about it, he called Taylor Hall specifically, and Brian Boyle for that matter, but he called Taylor Hall specifically before he made the PK Subban trade and talked to Taylor about what his thoughts were on the trade and what his thoughts are on PK as a person. You don't do that to somebody that you don't think you're going to be bringing back. And I think it gets done. I don't think it gets done in a big hurry. I think he wants to see how this season plays out. And to be honest with you, I can't even blame him, because if the Devils are in the tank by the time they hit the trading point or the trading deadline, and he's like, listen, I gave it whatever you could give it, and blah blah blah. Try to get some assets for me, and then you ship them out to somebody that's contending, and they overpay for them. Then that's what happens. But hopefully, it's the other way around, and the Devils have a great season next year. He sees what he sees, and he likes what he likes, and he signs long term. So you can't blame the guy, because he wants to win. He's not chasing money. From all accounts, it doesn't seem like he's chasing money. It seems like he's chasing playoff experience, excitement, not having a losing season, not talking about winning the draft lottery, stuff that we're tired of too,
Shorts, what is your assessment?
Virtually the same. I think he's going to resign. I still think that all of this Taylor Hall might not come back. Just came from that one vague article when there was nothing else going on, and they got tired of talking about who are the Devils going to draft number 1 overall. I think he's going to sign. Ray Shero has been making moves in order to keep him here, and moves in order to make the Devils a better team. You cannot argue that. Beer Baron's right. The guy wants to win, and the guy, he's running out of time. Not say that he's old, but one more long-term contract, and he's on the wrong side of his career. And if he hasn't won a cup by then, he's been on the outside looking in almost every year of his career, coming in as one of the top picks himself, and being on a team full of top number 1 picks, and just on the outside looking in. He wants to win. He wants to win it ASAP. But yeah, if we're not doing well by the trade deadline, I can see him leaving. I do think they'll re-sign. I mean, they still have one more season with him officially on the books right now. Whether or not it gets done during the summer, maybe he's waiting to see all of the final moves Shero does. It would help. It would help a lot, though, if we can get him locked up and know what we have cap-wise, unless he's maybe waiting out to see what the Devils can bring in to not strap them cap-wise and maybe kind of take one of those hometown discounts, which I don't know if you can call it that, since he's not from here, but maybe he's letting the Devils have that space freed up for now, so that they can bring in more pieces to help win now.
You know what? Your answers are very good, but you guys suck. Now I have to take the opposite answer of both of you guys. I was hoping, Shorts Guy, that we go opposite from Beer Baron. Now I got to be the jerk. Okay, the jerk of the group. Okay, because you know what? If we all agree,
What else is new?
Yeah, if we all agree and this and that, and again, we're not going to fake it. Okay, but at the same time, I kind of am 50-50. Yes, he will stay. 50-50. The other 50% he won't stay. So I will concentrate on that, so I don't sound diplomatic and stir the pot here. That other half that says that he will leave, I just got this gut feeling. This gut feeling that I think he's going to Toronto. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I just got this feeling that he's just going to bolt, and it's going to be another John Tavares moment in Devils history. Other than he was not drafted by the Devils, and nothing, and seeing the Toronto Raptors win over an entire country and winning a championship, a professional championship in North America for the first time since the 93 Montreal Canadiens, and that feeling. And I saw his tweet, and I saw a lot of NHL players' tweets about, Leonard going to Clippers, and they're all a little sad in this and that. But, I think that, I think he saw the atmosphere of that arena up in Toronto. I know it's basketball and what it could be like. And it's and Toronto Maple Leafs are a very, very, very good team and stacked. I don't know how salary cap wise it's going to work. Are they going to have to trade Mitch Marner or whatever to relieve some money in case Hall comes there? But even then, that's still not likely. He's got everything going his way here. I mean, how many guys would have this opportunity to have 2 first overall picks? And oh yeah, by the way, I'm a first.
He had that in
pick.
Edmonton. He had that in Edmonton.
And see what happened there. I mean,
he had. But see, I hate to do this to you, but I have to shoot a hole right in your him going to Toronto theory right off the bat. Unless even if the Maple Leafs figure out what the heck they're going to do with Marner, they still don't have the cap room to sign Taylor Hall at the rate that he's going to want. If he wants to sign for 12 or 12.5 or even in that high range, like a Panarin type of contract, there's no way Toronto would be able to fill that in. So,
but at the same time, part of my argument, again, I have to be the jerk here and not agree with you guys, but part of my argument here is it's not about the money. It's about going back home, going back to Canada, and winning one for Canada and winning one for the first time in your life.
I just think he wants to go somewhere and win, period. It doesn't matter if it's in Canada or not.
Now,
yeah, and I don't think it's going to be a different situation with like the Toronto Raptors. They're the only NBA team in Canada, if I'm not mistaken, because Vancouver is no longer in the league anymore. So the country has one team, right? There's no way Canadians fans are going to celebrate a Toronto Maple Leaf Stanley Cup. Ottawa Senator fans,
there's no way. No way. None. Zero.
Hasn't
okay, so
won a cup. You remember Vancouver? Do you remember Vancouver and Boston, that series in 2010?
Yeah, but that's completely different. You think different. Montreal fans would not celebrate a Stanley Cup victory if the Toronto Maple Leafs won at all?
That's not saying that they would.
Quebec. The entire province of Quebec would not celebrate that.
Well, the entire province the entire province of Quebec is kind of like a country on its own. It's there. Okay, they love hockey.
To see it occasionally.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. By the way, over the summer, Shorts Guy is going to be hosting the Let's Go Devils podcast history class. Anyway,
that's more of a current event issue. Anyway.
Oh, okay. Anyway, but going and I'm reading like some of the comments, and these are legitimate comments in the Facebook Live group that David Decker wants him gone. Let him go. David Holiday, right? That's exactly why he is worried, Sam. He was there for them getting a ton of top guys who didn't help. I can't say that word on air. It's just another side of the argument. Now, all signs point to, look, this is Ray Shero can get this done, but as time goes along, the price goes up. All right, Panarin signs a big deal, and is that kind of the starting point? And how much is too much to keep Taylor Hall? And on top of that, and I got to agree with Larry Brooks in his article here, nobody's seen Taylor skate yet in a game in a while. So, would you give a guy $14 million a year, 7-8 years, on that premise?
He still has a year left on his contract before he can resign. And I'm curious if anything
goes up. The price goes up the longer you wait. Unless, of course,
but he hasn't played. So the Devils kind of have that on there. Like, they know what he can do. And they know what he's done in the past, but they don't know how he's going to be this season. So they could possibly wait to the end of the season. And on top of that, I believe it's the season after next is when the CBA is up. And there's always the possibility of a work stoppage. We've seen it before. And that possibility always looms large. So that's something to look down the road in 2 years. What if he loses another season? He's another year older. We saw that with Brodeur. Brodeur lost a season or two with work stoppages. Another year older, another year that he couldn't win a cup. So he's got to take that into consideration too.
Honestly, I feel like if we don't re-sign him this summer, I feel like Shero is setting himself up. And somebody said it earlier in the group. If the Devils are not in contention, which honestly, I don't feel like that's even a possibility this year. As long as Schneider or Blackwood plays up to some kind of decent level with the amount of talent that they added with PK Subban and Hughes, I mean, this team is automatically a little bit better than they were last year, right? So they'll be in contention. Come towards the trade deadline, they'll be in contention. But if Shero is smart and he's talked to Taylor Hall and Taylor Hall has given him every indication that he's not going to sign back, he's going to ship him out. There's no doubt in my mind that he would ship him out. You can't sit there and say like, oh, he'll sit there and try and convince him. If he's dead set, if he's dead ass and he knows that dude is not coming back, he will ship him out and get the most for his buck. And to answer somebody else's question, no, this is a personalized jersey with my name on the back. And yes, John is wearing a USA soccer jersey.
I am, yes. The women won this morning. The men are playing now.
That's right.
Let's hope for 2 victories for the U.S. today.
But yeah, I mean, the stoppage, that's all a great point. But all this stuff is like, it's all speculation until it happens. And that's the crappy part about it, is that we have to sit back and wait. And there's nothing you can do.
Here's the other side of the argument. And I brought this on the State of the Fan address last week with Shorts Guy and Nick. Okay. It just, like, I'll repeat it again. This happens every time before a new CBA, negotiations looming. You sign these players to fat contracts because there's always amnesty after that CBA is negotiated. There's always this buyout amnesty. And I used to get so mad with the Rangers because they would sign these like long-term deals. It's like, you're cap strapped. You guys stink. And then it's like after CBA, it's like, oh, Wade Redden, we'll just take away those 4 or 5 years, a dead weight.
So then why don't the Devils?
That's exactly my point.
So why don't the Devils do it?
Paul. That's why, because it's to a team, it's less risk. If there is such a thing this time around, which seems to be a pattern of having that amnesty where in case something were to go wrong, pay him to go away. And I'm not saying this, I mean, we're making up hypotheticals here, but to get to the point, the Devils have money, right? They've got a beautiful new nucleus. On paper, they look very, very formidable. There's just one thing missing. Just win.
and just win exactly.
That's all they need to do.
And another top 6 forward. And there's been a lot of talk about the Devils trying to go after Nikita Gusev from Vegas, which is I'm a huge advocate for that. There's also been chatter about them putting out an offer sheet for somebody like Mitch Marner or Patrick Laine.
Oh,
the
I read
problem
about
with
the
that
Mitch
stuff,
Marner one.
dude, you have to give up 4 first-round picks. I think Marner is a okay. So I look at I know we're going to switch gears a little bit in talking about this and step away from Taylor Hall for a second. But if the Devils were to offer sheet Mitch Marner, there's 2 ways to look at this. Number one, the price tag would be 11.5 to 12.5, somewhere in that range, right? Which for Marner, because he's got that kind of talent, is kind of worth it. But then you have to give up 4 first-round picks. The thought process behind that is that's a horrible thing to do. You're giving up that's a lot of talent that you're going to be giving up. But if your team is good enough and you're playing deep into the playoffs, that means those first-rounders start becoming like late 20s, stuff like that. So then you could start giving up a talent in that direction. So I don't know. I'm on the fence. At first I was like, there's no way you pay that price. But then if you inject him into this lineup, this team is there's no way in hell they're not contending and pushing deep into the playoffs.
Yeah, but that offer sheet, I read that one of Mitch Marner, and that giving up first 4 first-round picks, I think is a huge risk because you have to almost have a guarantee that Marner is going to come in and get you deep into the playoffs every single year. So that one's just too tough to do unless you're able to somehow, and Shero could possibly pick this up, pull this off, somehow get consistently in those 4 years, pick number 32 or 33, just consistently, like right at the end of that first round, beginning of the second round, to kind of compensate for that, which is altogether possible. But at the same time, you also don't know if any of those 4 guys you're going to pick in the first round over those 4 years are going to be good.
And
you don't know if any of those picks
are
ever going to work out. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
However, you also need those picks to build your team to go forward. That's almost like a win now mentality. And the Devils to go from, I mean, it's possible. We saw St. Louis go from 0 to hero. We don't know if the Devils can do that, and they would have to do that over the course of those 4 years without that first overall pick. I think it's a big risk, and I don't know. I don't know if it'll be if it's worth that, and if it's worth that $12.5 million cap hit, which I was reading that they were gonna supposedly the rumor was. Laine, I could see maybe a little bit better, but then again, maybe Shero can call up both those teams and say, hey, let's talk trade before before an offer sheet. Maybe that's a possibility too. Maybe a swap, Marner for Hall.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too is somebody was just saying, and I think it was Joe in the Facebook group was saying if we offer sheeted somebody and we had to give up 4 first-round picks, then you would hope that Ray maybe flips Hall to get at least one of those first in return, right? So yeah. I don't know, man. Like all this offseason, it was crazy because leading up to free agency, I was like, oh man, something big is going to happen. I have a feeling that Ray's going to break the mold of him not signing a free agent. And maybe he went after people. Maybe he went after Panarin. Maybe he went after, this guy and that guy and just didn't get lucky. Or, they didn't want to come here, whatever the case may be. But he keeps saying that he's not done. There's a lot of like talk and speculation that the Devils are not done. And then like all these things kind of swirl around. It's like, I just want it to be done. Just like pull one more move, just get it done. Let it be October already. I'm not trying to rush through the summer, but damn,
no, we're not rushing through the summer.
Start.
We are not rushing through the summer.
Exactly.
But that's actually kind of funny thing that the GM of the Hurricanes, when Aho got offer sheeted, one of his comments to the press was, yeah, well, my work's done in about 7 days, because that was going to be his big thing, was re-signing him this season. So it was almost like he was forced into getting that work done early, and then his summer was going to be free. And yeah, I would love to see Shero take care of this in the beginning of the summer, but I also don't want to see Shero rush into something and to make sure whatever he does it, and he does it right, and it gets it right. So,
and that's why I think there hasn't been any kind of like movement out of the office. You know what I mean? It's real quiet. And usually when things get quiet, because we speculated about them trying to trade for PK Subban, but nobody actually knew that they're going to trade for him, right?
Yeah.
Like some of the moves that happen that the Devils do, you don't know they're going to happen. They just boom, they just happen. You know, like trading Adam Larson for Taylor Hall. It just boom.
And Adam Henrique being traded too. That was boom out of nowhere.
Exactly. These things just kind of like poof, they pop up. They happen. You're like, oh my god, and everybody freaks out. I just love the people that are like, Ray Shero hasn't done anything. I'm like, I don't think so.
Or how many people
PK Subban.
I saw a bunch of people. I saw a bunch of people calling for his firing after Trouba signed with the Rangers.
Mm-hmm. Next year we should start screenshotting some of these ridiculous posts in some of these Facebook groups, because I'm telling you. And then see, sometimes when you follow some of these posts, and then the same person, like 5 days later, hey, great job, Ray. I knew you were going to do it. All you guys suck for having him, fired. And I'm like, wait a second. I just saw this like 3 or 4 days ago. It's like that you wanted him fired. And it's a stupid infighting.
It's a stupid infighting with fans, not just on this team. I mean, it's like sports nowadays. It's like you go on social media and it's just like, I hate you and I hate you. And you're like, dude, you root for the same team.
That's
like, knock it off.
Social media. Social media.
I feel like that dad that's like driving a car, reaching back, smacking somebody in the head, like, knock it off, would you? I'll turn this bus right around. And that precious little field trip. Oh, a banana, great snack of the day. Anyways. Sorry, Chris Farley starts channeling through me. I got to go with it.
Oh, wait, Beer Baron, you're stuck in the mid '90s now. So,
oh, God bless. I wish I was. That was a great time. Everybody was. It was. I was in high school. What a fantastic time. Music was way better.
I mean, the mid '90s to 2000 or 2003 were like the best years of my life. I feel like
my teams were all winning.
This. Yeah, all teams are winning. I mean, just your teams are winning. The economy was good for the most part. You're a young teenager, about to hit 21. Through that time, it was such a good time. I feel like I just peaked at 21 or 22. Then now my teams suck. My Mets, their bullpen sucks so bad. I have to turn off the game at the middle of the sixth because I know what's going to happen. I already know what the headlines are,
Yeah, just pretend it's Little League rules, and they're like, hey, 6 innings, we're done, kids. Go get ice cream.
Yeah. And then the Giants, for a while, and this and that, Odell peeing in the end zone, and then he's hurt, and this, and now he's gone, and it's been a rough streak. But I feel the optimism about the New Jersey Devils, though. But this is on paper, and that's what scares me. It's just paper. They haven't played yet. I haven't seen Jack Hughes play live yet.
Well, developmental camps this week.
Woohoo! But we're not allowed to go.
Oh.
No, they were selling
closed
tickets,
to the public.
Right?
No, it's closed to the public, they said.
Oh, so we're just gonna rely on Amanda Stein for all the updates. I think that's the reason why they're doing it.
That's all we got.
We don't get her. Then we don't get our beady eyes and looking in there. Maybe one day we'll have a covert operation. The Let's Go Devils podcast goes on the road, and we sneak into the whatever health center or whatever, that rink, and then we're under the bleachers.
I'll wear a fake mustache.
There you go. Fake mustache.
Is that 3 men in a suit? 3 dogs stacked on top of each other. By the way, Joe Stansel, that was to be more specific. That's it. We're going back to Winnipeg episode of The Simpsons. Is when Bart gets a fake ID and they rent a car and they go to see That's one of my favorite episodes. And Nelson leads out and smacks that dude in the head. That's it, kids. Back to Winnipeg. Anyways,
go to Branson, Missouri.
What do you got in there? A bunch of wigs. Anywho's. I like if anybody doesn't know, the Beer Baron, that my name comes from The Simpsons. That's where it's from. It's not because I drink all the time, but
That's only half the reason why.
it's half the reason.
Why did they call
you
Shorts Guy? Why did they call you Shorts Guy? Shorts Guy.
Why do you think, Sam? Want to take a wild guess?
Oh yeah,
I was, yeah. I was the guy in college that always wore shorts, and it just stuck. It was a nickname there, and then it came home after I graduated because I brought a couple friends up to Sacred Heart up in Connecticut, and then then that name came down.
Well, you know what? Now I'm kind of like
call a big one Bitey. I'm sorry. Somebody wrote. Somebody wrote, my favorite episode is the monorail episode, and see, this is all it takes is you say that, and then that whole episode plays through my brain really quickly.
Oh, this is devolving so quickly. This is what happens in the last episode of the season. It just devolves into a mess.
Well, while we're talking about the last episode, it's not like we got to clarify something. This is the last scheduled episode.
Yes.
Season 2 is no longer. It's going to be in the archives forever. You could also, I'm sure we're going to try to do something where, for our hardcore listeners that maybe they buy the DVD version of the Let's Go Devils podcast season 2 to relive all the memories where half of the proceeds goes towards our $35 million private jet. Yeah, I saw that there was a helicopter crash the other day. I kind of felt bad. I thought about the private jet, but private jet where we could take our fans with us to Devils road games, and also found that there's an Uber for private jets. It's like $700 a person. So it's like, wow, for $1,000, game ticket, plane round trip, this and that, you could take a private jet. Literally with I forgot what the company was called that may come out to Peterborough. Yeah. And we'll have to get one of those Let's Go Devils podcast magnets and just put it on the side of the jet and get those jeans to wear, for that photo op of us going on a trip. But
no, I'm not wearing jeans. Sorry.
But
jeans with the cuffs.
The
high water
flood pants. He's wearing flood pants.
So
my shoes
might be wet.
My cuffs are bone dry. Everything's a Simpsons reference. I love it.
Everything's coming up Millhouse. Oh Lord! Somebody asked.
But anyway, steer the ship. Sam, steer the ship.
Are we going to have a huge podcast, an hour-long podcast on the Devils re-sign Stafford to another 1-year contract?
Yeah,
on a rooftop like the Beatles.
Well, I mean, we are going to have some podcasts. We may pop up in certain locations all over New Jersey, but we're right now, after this podcast, we are going to be focusing on season 3. Season 3. I actually submitted a proposal of live event dates to a certain somebody to see if any of those dates work out. Sorry, I didn't consult you guys about it, but I think we're all in agreement with it. Yeah. All Saturday nights at Beer Baron.
Good. If it's a Saturday night, I'll be there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and we're going to be doing certain things. But one thing I wanted to talk about, as well, as, we're not trying to change the subject, but, we don't want to beat a dead horse with Taylor Hall, is that these live events we do, we don't believe in charging our fans to come see us.
Why?
No, I don't get. I mean, I understand the economics of it, but I don't know. It's kind of like I hate that whole mythology of pay to play. Hey, I want an autograph. Well, $25. Wait in line. We don't like that. And
we'll sign your baby.
Yeah. Now, Gary says live events. Now, if you want an autographed puck from any three of us, that's worth $25. But if Grant Marshall or Bruce Driver, players we've had in the past hang out with us, no. We figure out creative ways to get them there and have a good time with us. Just don't like. I don't know. I just get a funny feeling when there's a cover charge or whatever. We just want to hang out at a bar.
Listen,
I
cover charges.
I hate cover charges.
They always lead to disappointment because if you go to somewhere and you're like, "Oh man, this is free," all right, you instantly, it's great. It could be like weird. It could be like the three of us sitting in a very small room in a very dank basement, just talking to you, and you'd be like, "This is free, all right, man, this is great." But as soon as you go to somewhere and you pay a cover charge, and it sucks even a tiny bit, that's all you think of is how much it sucked.
Yeah,
I spent $5 on this.
And Gary and Gary has the right attitude. He's just writing in the Facebook Live group. Everyone should buy a T-shirt and other stuff. We need to sell 1.75 million of these. We're getting there, but we need to sell these, right?
Cheddar.
So, yeah, because if we want to continue this topic, and hopefully it doesn't continue that long, that Ray resigns Taylor Hall to a sweetheart deal of, I don't know, hopefully like 9.2 million or something like that. Won't happen, but if he does, hey, you go to a bar with us, whether it's Tavern on the Rocks with Jeff, which by the way, Jeff, I know Jeff is watching. I need to talk to you about something, but that'll be after the podcast. Very, very, very important. But also, Mother's Ale House. We haven't reached out to them yet, but I'm sure we'll be back there. And also Devil's Diehards. They're doing their whole Christmas toy drive again. Yeah, we're gonna make an effort. And season 3, like season 2 was like we did a lot of things, but season 3, it's like going to Mars. It's gonna be awesome. We got a lot of things in the works, a lot of shenanigans. We're trying to organize a plan. Remember, we're just 3 guys. We don't have all we have is Melissa. So, I feel bad that half the times, when me or whatever, when we call her, it's always Melissa, get me a bumper sticker to send to Gary, And she does it, even though we don't have any bumper stickers, which, by the way, we lost 150 bumper stickers at the last live event.
We only bought 50.
Oh, that's it? Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we gave it all away. I don't know, but
we gave.
I got one on the back of my car.
I didn't even get one, but that's no big deal.
Yeah,
we'll make
that way. When I cut people off and they get angry at me, they'll be like, "Oh, that guy."
Will Bauman writes, having a cover charge is no different than buying a Devils ticket last season.
That's my boy right there.
Yeah.
He knows it's up. He knows.
Yeah. So, but you know what? It's like, we don't want to create excuses not to go to our live events, because one of the excuses, I'm not going to pay that $25. Well, you know what?
That is a huge excuse, and it's a right excuse.
So you know what we do with that? We if you use that excuse, no, you can't do that. But anyway, I'm just dragging that along. But we got a lot of good things planned, and we hope to be still connected with you throughout the summer. Now, State of the Fan Address will be going at its regular time at Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern with me and Nick Villano and a whole host of guests. We are going to continue that. That is going to be our brother podcast on the platform or our sister podcast?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'd say so.
Yeah, I don't know what.
I'd say our podcast is connected. I don't know what we'd call it, but we're connected.
We're the Taylor Ham as that podcast is the pork roll. Totally different. Totally.
I just zoned out. You know what? I was trying to. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
last season, maybe.
Well, Bobby Manella writes just saying that he wanted to send a telegram to you, Shorts Guy, that U.S. and Mexico match is just getting very chippy. This is for Shorts guy.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying not to watch. It's very hard. If anyone wants to know why my eyes are not staring at my camera, it's because I have U.S. Mexico on. It's going to be hopefully a bloodbath come second half.
You know what
anyway.
we should do? We should do a breakfast podcast where you be, Beer Baron and Shorts Guy and we should go to a breakfast shop where they have Taylor ham and have a podcast there and just like settle this debate once and for all. Just settle it.
Well, I have a question for you. If you go into a place and you see it up on the board as written as pork roll, you order just a pork roll, egg and cheese, right? Or if it's written up on the board like Taylor ham, Taylor ham, egg and cheese, right?
Nope.
Or you just go
I only order Taylor ham. Nope. I only order Taylor ham.
And I usually correct them. And after the second and third time they keep on saying pork roll, I actually just leave the line. And just leave.
You're so full of it. You're so full of it.
I'm dead serious.
If you're hungover if you're hungry and you're hungover and you're just like waiting for that sandwich, you can call it a turd on a sandwich, and I will still probably order it.
Let me tell you something.
Oh, turd burger. Okay, cool. I'll eat that.
Wicker Basket. There's a place called Wicker Basket or something in Mendham.
Well, there's their first problem.
Wait, you've been there?
No.
Anyway, so Wicker Basket, they call it Taylor ham.
Whisker basket or wicker basket.
No, it's Wicker Basket.
Whatever.
They call it Taylor ham. And then when I was talking to the owner, this is like several years ago, I was like, it's not pork roll. I was like, no, it's the same thing. I was like, you have it the side Taylor ham, and you're telling me no, it's not the same thing. And I went on and 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 on. And I think she wanted to get rid of me at that point because I got pretty emotional about it. But it's a polarizing topic. It's an absolutely polarized topic, and I could go on and on. Cheryl Miller, right? Even when in pork roll part of New Jersey, you say tell him they know. Yeah, but you know what, Cheryl? I don't give the pork roll nation people an inch. Okay, once you give them an inch, suddenly they're going to name the Zamboni a four-wheel drive ice scraper. They're not going to call it Zamboni. Why? Because it's a brand. It's a four-wheel drive ice scraper. I thought that's what it was called. What, four-wheel drive ice scraper?
Yeah.
Ice resurfacer.
It's called Zamboni. Yeah.
It's an ice resurfacer.
But you know where we should go? We should go to Hobby's Deli. Support them. They had a fortunate buyer. I will talk to the Brummers, the Brummer family, because we were tweeting support, and I said we got to do a podcast there, and they were like, let's make it happen. So I should follow up with them and see if we could do. Maybe that's our breakfast shop to support Hobby's Deli.
Yeah, there we go.
I'll
be in a food coma if we go there.
Oh, I know.
Right?
Tons
Can we
of
drink there early?
Soup. You know what? Let me tell you something. Drink there?
Or just not say anything. Just put it in a brown bag.
Drink out. We can drink outside.
Yeah, true. It's 6 a.m, boys.
So,
Joe Orzel writes the Taylor Ham Hall podcast. Hey, that's pretty clever, Joe. I'm gonna like that. I want to like that. Yeah. See, right now, all the Pork Roll Nation people, they're all kissing their sisters right now, and they're not watching this podcast. That's fine with us. We speak what's on our mind and this and that. Anyway, anybody that was offended, come on. It's all jokes. Does Shorts Guy even know anything about hockey? Nick Turo asks.
Ooh, shot across the bow.
Wow.
Yeah, I do. No, I know Nick. I coach Nick. Yes, Nick, I do know I do know lots of stuff about hockey. What's going on, Nick?
Some stuff. We all know some stuff.
We all know some things.
Yeah, we just BS. We're just a bunch of con artists here on the Let's Go Devils podcast. So getting back to the topic at hand, will Taylor Hall stay? I think the real consensus is, without being a homer, the situation is right. It looks good, but there's always that possibility of a Tavares moment. And until he signs, and that's completely natural. I mean, as Devils fans, we've been burnt before. Bobby Holik going to the Rangers. I mean, let me tell you something. If that guy, Taylor Hall, goes to the Rangers,
he'll be hated.
You're dead to me.
They don't have the cap space
Nope.
anyway. He's not going
Nope.
there.
Yep. Yeah, I know.
So
I know.
yeah, it's being realistic is what it is what we try to be. You know, as much as we want to be homers and as much as we can be homers, don't get me wrong. There's times where we're very, very blatantly clear homers, but at the same time, like this is just being, optimistic, I suppose, and also being a little bit of realist. You know, you look at the situation like we said before. This is one of those stories that's because there is no clear ending to it right now. This is one of those stories that's going to get rolled over and rolled over and kicked around, and it's going to turn every direction, and it's going to go from, of course he's going to sign, and he's never coming back, and all these different things, and you get that, the schlub from that paper in New York who writes an article about how he's definitely not going to leave, and this type of, or definitely going to leave or whatever. The problem is like, you don't know until it's figured out. You had Zach Parise saying until he's blue in the face that he loved New Jersey, that he's going to stay, that everything was great. And he was like definitely going to re-sign and then gone. So, I mean,
hey, guys,
and that's why I will.
Sorry, just to interrupt. I'll let you two go. Kevin Clark just texted me. Kevin Clark of the New Jersey Devils. He's the PA announcer. Just texted me that he has some issues with some of the things that was said on air. So let me get him on the Bobby's Auto Care hotline. So give me 5-10 minutes.
It's probably the whole pork roll thing. I bet that's what it is.
Well, you know what? I will.
You're the only one stirring the stick here.
It's my job, okay? I have to be the jerk today, just like you guys. Basically repeating what I was going to say, and then I'm like, it gets to me. It's like, what am I supposed to say? Oh yeah, I trust you guys. Yeah, okay, all right. So let me get Kevin on. Let me work some magic here, and this was totally unexpected, but let you guys go.
I didn't even know what we were talking about.
It's just like the same old thing. It's what we're talking about.
This podcast in particular, at the end of season 2, this is like we have never been all over the place like we are tonight. For as much as Sam,
it's like we're always like this.
This is worse than we've ever been. But whatever, it's going to be entertaining. it's the end of the season. Shero hasn't signed anyone in a couple days. We're looking for stuff to talk about.
Oh my god, we've been on like hiatus for listen since April. There's been we talked about the draft leading up to it for about a month, 2 months, and then after that, it's been like talk a little bit about the playoffs. We talk a little bit about this, that, and the other. And this is what's left: is Taylor Hall? Will he sign? I guess the other speculation is will Gusev become a Devil, because that would be nice too.
And again, the whole Taylor Hall thing started with one article. That's the funny thing about it. It started just one vague quote in one article.
It's true.
And then it went from a vague quote to he's leaving to, it's like, oh my God, it's just amazing what people do when they're bored and they need something, something to fill the time.
Imagine how he feels though, like sitting in this position where you're like coming off an injury, coming off a terrible year, a year removed from winning the MVP, and maybe all he wants to do is just focus on what this year is going to bring, and doesn't want to be like caught up in all this crap. It's like, you kind of look at it from his situation.
You don't go on social media.
Yeah,
you limit your time on social media, and you don't read anything that has your name in the title, because he's the only one. Him and Shero are the only two. Possibly Hall's agent. We'll throw a third person in there. They're the only 3 people that have any idea of what may be going on. And Hall's the only one that really knows what he wants to do. So there's no point in him to read any of these speculative articles, because unless the words are coming from him, they're wrong. So it's staying off of social media, and that's, that I'm sure that, he's got someone that PR person that runs all his official stuff, and he may have friends and family only accounts where it's only people he wants to interact with and not the main account or whatever. But yeah, it's just you got to try to avoid it as best as possible. And, I'm sure he's doing that because otherwise it would drive you nuts.
Yeah. Maybe Hall wants to go back to Edmonton. I think he's probably never going to go back to Edmonton. The only reason he'd go back is to play them. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, honestly, at this point in the season, it's, I want them to make that one last little piece move, whether it is to get Gusev, because one of the funny things is like, and I jumped on board, is on Twitter, there's like this huge movement for the Devils to make this trade. Now to get Nikita Gusev. It's like this huge, like, push for everybody. And it's great because there's all these, Geese references and Goose references from Top Gun. There's all, and it's just all good fun. But to be honest with you, if they did make that move, it would be fantastic because I think it's a kid that has a lot to prove, that has a lot of ability and a lot of skill, and could fill in, maybe not the top 6 right away, but he could fill in, one of those wing positions that they desperately need to fill. I don't know. There's a lot of the kids like Boquist, coming up, signing his entry-level contract. Like, how is this kid going to be? There's going to be a lot of like question marks going into camp. There's going to be a lot of open spots. I don't think Shero is going to bring back Brian Boyle, even though I would like him to come back just as like a mentor. Maybe not on the ice, but just to be a presence in the locker room. Maybe as like an assistant coach or something like that. But I don't know.
Maybe they're waiting.
I feel like they're going to give a lot of these kids a good chance on the bottom 6.
Maybe they're waiting to see what pops up at the developmental camp.
Well, that too, yeah. And we haven't even talked about Simmonds.
Yeah, no, that's true. We'll get to him in a minute, but maybe they're waiting for this developmental camp to happen this week and see what they got that may be a tradable asset versus who they want to keep or who they're not going to keep or something like that, and then just know what they're going into, into the rest of the summer with, so that they have a view of what's there. So, but yeah, should we let's talk about Simmonds. We signed Wayne Simmonds.
Yeah,
I think
great
so
deal.
I was on the State of the Fan Address with Sam and Nick the day, I want to say it was the day that we got him, and I'm all for that deal. 1 year at $5 million. Let the guy prove what he can do, and if he's able to play himself into a new contract, that's great. I think he's going to bring some size to the lineup. That'll also help protect Hughes.
Agreed.
Sam.
Hello, guys. Hopefully he's not going to talk about pork roll and all that. We offended our good friend Kevin Clark, but he is on the Bobby's Auto Care hotline. He's definitely on the Bobby's Auto Care hotline. Well, let's see how this goes, because honestly, and I want to tell all the Facebook Live and all of our listeners and viewers right now, we didn't really plan this guest coming on. His name is Kevin Clark, Devils PA announcer on the Bobby's Auto Care hotline. Kevin, is it Taylor ham or pork roll? Let's just get it out of the way.
Well, that's an easy one. Here in the 609, it's pork roll.
Kevin, we are going to mute you right now, and that is the interview. No, just kidding. We got to get Kevin on. It was just jokes. We muted you, Kevin, but yeah. So you think it's pork roll?
That's okay. Okay. It's down here. We call it pork roll.
Hey, Kevin. We're going to put this to bed for 1 second, because I'm so glad that we have you on, because I wanted to ask you, how cool was it announcing Jack Hughes' name for the first time when they had him walk into the arena and had the whole the display set up and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I really enjoyed that, and I did it from upstairs in the control room. So it's basically I'm sitting in a room by myself. And it's just an odd experience because I'm supposed to jack it up. Oh, jack it up. There you go. Pun unintended. But I'm supposed to amp it up. There you go. Like it's a game, but it was a weird dynamic, and I think it came over well. And the funny part about that is, excuse me 1 second. Sorry about that. afterwards, he walked into the arena with Brodeur, and then afterwards, I saw Marty at the press conference, and he comes walking over to me with this look on his face, like, I had stolen his lunch money or something. But he said that I actually scared both of them when they weren't expecting it, because when they played a video and the video ended, and then I launched into it. I guess it was pretty loud, so it made them kind of jump a little bit. So good.
That's pretty cool.
But I think he got a flair for what it's going to sound like when he scores one of his 56 goals next season.
I like that.
But yeah, that was a lot of fun. That whole day was a lot of fun with that, and then the press conference, and it was June, and we had a big hockey day, so I'm always up for that.
Kevin, I wanted to ask you when you were doing that. Now, I did try to get you to do it on our NHL post-draft party, whatever, and you kept it close to the vest. It was almost like you signed a secrecy form about that. But how many times did you rehearse that? Were you nervous at all? I mean, or is it just like standard? This is just me doing it.
I didn't rehearse it. It's not like I just sat up there and belted it out. You read it, and I had it written. It was actually on my phone, and I read it right off my phone, and just you winged it, and it was fun. I think it came out well, and that's one of those things you never know, because, like I said, I set up the situation. You don't know how it's going to come over. I'm looking at a wall. You know what I mean? It's like I was in the men's room, like announcing, and so I don't know how I don't know how it's going to come out. I'm like, so I just blind faith did it, and it worked out. It worked out. So that's all. I can't ask for more than that.
Kevin, it's Shorts Guy. So you couldn't even see these guys walking out into the arena. You just had to be told to go and announce. You had no vision of it all?
No, I had, from my vantage point, I was looking at the video board, the top portion of the video board. That's what I saw. So my boss, Joe, was on headset with somebody who was down there with him, with Hughes and Brodeur, and then they played the video, and then the video ends, and I get the cue to go. So that's how it goes. Listen, there's a reason why I call myself the puppet, because I am the puppet, and then Joe is the strings, and he, I just do what I'm told. That's all it is.
And I do know you referred to yourself and Pete as Chopped and Liver the other day too. So you've got multiple nicknames over there in that building.
Well, when you guys are setting up Erica Lofter to come on, I know the deal. We are Chopped Liver, and that's
never.
And that wasn't. I never said. I didn't say it in anger. I wasn't disappointed.
No, you did not.
But if Erica was coming on my show, and you guys were on, I'd kick you out in a second. So,
and I completely agree with you doing that.
You gotta have priorities, and Erica's always going to be a priority. So believe me, I understood that, and she's just a sweetheart. She's such a nice person, and I don't get to interact with her a lot, but when I do, it's been fun. She's just a nice person, and at the draft festival, I really enjoyed the fact that I had to announce her, as I say, announce a name in anger. So, and I don't mean it angry. It's just, it's just a term for some reason that I use. So I got to announce her name in anger at the draft festival, and I had this was just thrown at me, and announce Erica, and I just belted it out, and she was so excited about that. I actually had the picture saved in my phone when she's just about to high five me. She had the biggest grin on her face. So, she's just a nice person, and I've said this a million times, and I'm going to say it probably a million more. But the best part of my gig up there is the people I get to meet, and people like you guys, and the staff, and the people are just the people make it, and it's what makes it fun for me. And I get to talk to everybody, and you know, kind of, a little BS here and there is never bad for anybody. But, it's Devils hockey. And you got to remember, though, when we're up at something like that, we all kind of have a common thread. We all are Devils fans, and we all enjoy the environment, and there's a reason we're all there. And I don't mean just the people working there. I mean the fans and the podcast guys and, everybody. There's a reason we're there. We all love the Devils. So it's kind of unifying in that respect. And I think that night was in Devils fandom in microcosm, because it was an incredible night, and when I came on with you guys, I was still pumped. I think you could tell. It was just very exciting, a lot of fun. People were ready to celebrate, and big picture, Devils fans are ready to celebrate. Devils fans are ready to have their team be relevant again and be exciting, and I think they're going to grab onto anything positive and run with it. And I think that's what the draft festival was. And to a lesser extent, just the getting PK Subban and those moves, and Wayne Simmonds, and it's all stuff that leads towards a better team and more excitement and more fun for the fans. So they're gonna grab onto that, and I think we all do that.
Now, it's kind of funny that you led me right into my next question for you, which is just as a fan, your thoughts about the PK Subban trade and then the Wayne Simmonds signing, especially Wayne Simmonds coming off of an okay year or so year, but his comments after getting signed to a 1-year, $5 million contract, it sounds like he has a massive chip on his shoulder, and he is ready to prove a lot of people wrong. And it's always nice to catch a guy when he's got that fire in his belly of, what, these teams made a mistake passing over me. And, having him go out there and protect, especially the likes of Jack Hughes, is going to be great to see this season. But what are your thoughts on those two guys?
I like the Subban acquisition a lot. I think what he's going to do for the power play will be evident right away. Here's the bottom line with all this. The money that they sign these guys for doesn't come out of my pocket. So as long as it's, under the salary cap and, it's good for down the road, I have no problem with it. So people were really happy about Wayne Simmonds 1 year, $5 million. And I'm like, that's great. But, I'm not paying for it. So what's he going to bring to the team? And I think a lot of athletes, and you guys maybe might agree or might disagree, I don't know, but I think a lot of players, athletes, not just hockey players, but athletes, a lot of them play better when they're a little angry. Again, and you use the term chip on the shoulder. And I could see Wayne Simmonds being one of those guys, but you gotta hope he has the skill and a little bit of youth left in him to be able to, channel that anger and make it productive for the team. It's so funny though with Simmonds, because he's such a was such a polarizing figure for Devils fans, and now it's kind of weird to have him on our side. But I like him. I like him a lot. I think what he can. I like players who can bring a little bit of an edge. I don't like guys that are dirty. I would never want a Brad Marchand on my team.
No.
But I like guys with an edge, and I like guys that'll, give you that extra shot, let's say right at the whistle, and keep them off, as you guys said, keep them off Jack Hughes, keep them off Nico. I don't like the phrase bodyguard or protector or whatever, but just a guy that'll have to focus at the whistle of the other team. And I think Wayne Simmonds is going to bring that, and he's phenomenal on the power play. He really is. So you factor in, Subban's shot from the point, Simmonds in front. That could be a really dangerous power play. Now, don't forget this. Look what it does for the second unit. You move Butcher probably to the second unit. Will Butcher to the second unit. I thought he showed some good quarterbacking skills on the power play. So you now immediately have improved the second power play unit too. So just things to look for. And hopefully Trader Ray isn't done yet. I hope we got a couple more things coming down the road here.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I hope so too. So, Kevin, with
Maybe you
developmental,
guys know this. Maybe you guys know this. Now I know the cap floor is X amount of dollars. Have the Devils reached the cap floor yet? Am I throwing you under the bus with that question?
no,
I'm
we
sorry
have.
if I am.
No, we
They
have
have
hit the cap
they have-
floor. I want to say that
Okay.
the acquisition of Subban got us to that cap floor, and then we've gone over it. We've gone over that floor with the signing of Simmonds. I'm looking now. We're still fourth from the bottom, with
Wow.
as far as cap space. We got 20 million left. Yeah, I want to say. Yeah, I want to say the cap floor was somewhere in the 50s, and we're at 60. So yeah, we're absolutely at the cap floor.
Okay.
So,
Thank you. Because
and
I know
that-
at one point they were not.
Yeah, they were not, and that's why they were able to bring in Subban and absorb his entire cap hit, because we had all that space available just to get to the floor. And then
All right. Now let me ask you this: Do the Devils hold off with that cap space for future signings like Taylor Hall and Nico Hischier, or do you use some of that now? I'm on the fence on this one, so I'm asking your guys' opinion.
It depends, because if you do it correctly, you won't have to worry about saving the money for later and not being able to spend it now. You have to also think about it like this: you have a couple big contracts coming off the books in the next year or two. So Travis Zajac is coming off the books, Andy Green, Sami Vatanen, depending on what you do with him. So there's going to be money that's going to be cleared up and put out of the way. So you could always allocate some of that, or kind of put that in your mind, like, okay, when Trav comes off the books, then we can push some of his money towards Nico and upping his contract. I think it's going to be interesting to see if Ray makes a trade for somebody like we talked about, like a Nikita Gusev, or if he tries to go after a bigger fish than that. Who he's going to aim, or who he's going to go after, and what he's willing to give up, because he just gave up for the PK trade. He gave up next year's second round pick, so that kind of leaves him in a hole with that. So you don't think he's going to try to give away too many more picks for next year? So it might be player for player, or I don't know, or so it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what he does.
One of the guys that is out there that I like, and nobody really mentions him at all, and I think would be a great addition, would be Brett Conley from Washington. Check out his numbers and check out what he's done the last couple seasons in Washington. Again, I know he's had good line mates, but I think one of the guys that the Devils could sign that really would be a good addition to the second line. And when you think about these, excuse me, guys, when you think about this, when you plug in a guy in one of the first, second lines, it moves somebody down to the third line, or maybe the fourth line. So you're automatically improving the other lines when you do something like that. And I have to think that's an overlooked aspect of when you get a top six forward, what you're doing to your third and fourth lines and making them better. And I think we saw a lot, maybe with St. Louis, but more with Boston this past playoff run. Their third and fourth lines were very, very important. As a matter of fact, the Eastern Conference Final, their first line, Bergeron and whatnot, they were kind of invisible until the very end. Their third and fourth lines kind of carried them through that series. And I think, with the additions that Devils have already made, they have improved their third and fourth lines. And I think with somebody like Conley or another trade could really solidify those lines even more. I mean, that's kind of simplistic to say, but just it's something to keep in mind when not only do you improve your upfront offense, but you're also doing more, down the road for your lines that will not get as much playing time, but still matter. And, just something to keep in mind. Excuse me 1 sec. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. Unfortunately, I was going to say, unfortunately, Brett Conley is has signed with the Florida Panthers.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
How did I miss that one?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe forget Brett Conley, but just somebody, out there that can improve the second line, even the third line. Somebody, that. And again, you can't lose defense, and you guys know that you can't lose your defensive edge when you put those lines out there. So, it's a tricky spot. Those third and fourth lines are tricky spots, and I think hopefully over the next couple of weeks we're gonna find out if Ray can find a guy to slot in there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and on top of that, on top of that, you bring in another top six forward, and you're pushing guys down to third and fourth, and all the on the bubble guys, they got to work even harder to prove they want to be in the lineup. And you may get more out of those players just because there's one less spot for them to play in. They're not going to get complacent. They're going to keep pushing to produce and stay in that third and fourth line just to stay, on the game day roster.
Yeah, competition makes guys play hard. So it's
totally
good to have that. And I think over the years we've had instances where maybe there wasn't that push for competition with the team, so there wasn't maybe that urgency for some of the bigger names to play hard all the time. I'm not naming names, but like you just said, when there's competition and guys could lose playing time, they're going to bust their tail. So that's all you can ask for is if a guy's going to play hard and make a guy earn a spot, right? Make a guy earn a spot on one of the lines.
Oh yeah, and I think going into this season, the Devils are going to have the most depth that they have had on the roster in a very long time. So that's huge positive, especially when the inevitable injury happens too. You got a guy that just slots right in instead of pulling your hair out going, who's going to fill this hole? You have another guy that just jumps into that hole and can fill that spot, which is also good.
Yeah, hopefully you don't have your entire minor league team up playing with you at one point during the season like we had last year. Yeah, we need a break this year, so hopefully the hockey gods will smile on our side of the ice.
And that's going to be tough for you and for the guys up in the booth, for somebody coming into the game and you're like, all right, I've never seen this kid before. What the heck is the pronunciation of his name? Especially if it's something a little bit more difficult than Smith or something like that. But how many guys coming in and out of the lineup, and there's like it felt like there's a week and a half stretch where there was a different fourth line every week, and it was like different kids every week. And how difficult is that for you guys, having somebody different in the lineup every night almost?
It's not so much with the home teams, not so much with the Devils, because we've seen pretty much anybody who's come up now, whether it's at training camp or whatnot. We've seen them, heard their names, and that's not usually an issue. It's when the visiting team brings somebody in. I had this instance with Boston, I think 2 years ago, and you know what? I'm not going to remember the player, and I apologize for that. But all of a sudden, he gets a penalty. Excuse me, 1 second, guys. I'm really struggling here. Excuse me. He gets a penalty, and I'm like, who is that? So he wasn't on my roster. He wasn't in the game notes, and I'm like, I'd never heard of him before. So then you go, panic mode sets in, but you get on your phone and you Google this guy's name real quick. So you get because remember now I'm just looking at the back of his jersey. So I got a last name. So I got something to go on, but I need a first name and a pronunciation. So you go to Google real fast or YouTube, and hopefully the internet's working well, and you can get the name and the pronunciation before it's time to announce a penalty or the goal or whatnot. But it definitely panic mode can set in at those moments. But usually I get enough of a heads up prior to a game to be able to research and get a pronunciation. Usually, my big thing is I got to, especially with all these new players for like young guys come up from Binghamton with the Devils, I got to make sure, excuse me, that they haven't scored a goal in the NHL. So if it's his first career National Hockey League goal, I have to announce that. So it's just something I got to, be cognizant in my own head of making sure I do that. And there had been times when somebody scored and I'm like, uh-oh, I didn't do my due diligence and find out if this is his first National Hockey League goal. But usually I can just get on headset and they'll look real quick up in the control room and they'll let me know. I am disappointed in myself when I do that, though. That's not being prepared.
So, speaking of the young guys, do you get a chance to go to developmental camp this week, or is that something that you're unable to catch?
No, I am going up Wednesday. I'm still waiting on my itinerary for that, but I'm going up Wednesday and Saturday. Now, the last couple of years on Wednesday, I think we've had a 3-on-3 tournament, and then the Saturday they've had a full-blown scrimmage. I don't know if that's what's happening this year, but that's usually why I go up. So yeah, I'm definitely going up Wednesday, and I believe I'm going up Saturday. But like I said, I'm waiting for the itinerary. But that's fun. I mean, there's another instance where I don't necessarily have all the name pronunciations I need, so I can get a little scrambly.
But hey, it's still fun. You've seen all these youth guys, all these new youth guys coming in and seeing what the Devils have.
Well, I wish they were all named Hughes.
We'd be fine. We would be fine.
Yeah, Hughes I can do. Some of these other kids are, wow. Like, most people, and I probably said this to you guys before, but most people watch the draft and they're like looking at they see who the Devils draft and they're like, oh, okay, he's here. I'm looking at it like, oh boy, how do you say that name? I'm like, degree of difficulty with a player's name is why I watch the draft usually.
That's pretty funny.
But Hughes and Subban are two great names to be able to.
Especially you could drag those out too. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
I'm looking forward to it.
But I am too. I really am. But yeah, the old regime kind of frowned upon all that, but the current folks give me a little bit of the freedom to have some fun with it, and nice. I'm going to have fun.
Yeah, Kevin.
We had a player in the minor leagues when I did real quick with the Atlantic City Boardwalk Bullies years ago. His name was Luke Curtin, and you can still hear the Luke down at Boardwalk Hall reverberating in that building. It's the way I used to say.
That's awesome.
I'd go on for like a half an hour. Anyway, okay.
That's awesome.
Hey, Kevin, keep in touch with us over the summer, and also send me a text how Jack Hughes looks in camp.
I will do that. I will absolutely do that.
Okay, great. Well, that is Kevin Clark, Devils PA announcer, chiming in out of nowhere. This was not planned when we did our pre-production Let's Go Devils podcast season 2 finale planning.
It righted the ship because the ship was sinking for this episode. Kevin Clark coming on righted the ship.
I bet you Kevin Clark was like, all right, these jerks are calling it Taylor Ham. They're running out of content. I'm the closer right here. I need to give the energy guy. I got to just pop onto the podcast and bail these 3 lads out. I think that's what Kevin was pretty much doing. And thank you, Kevin, because yes,
and we
were running out of content. We were running on fumes. And then all of a sudden, Kevin Clark comes on, right? He just comes on because we got a lot of friends here at the Let's Go Devils podcast.
We do.
We got people still chiming in on Twitter, Periscope, YouTube Live. I mean, Gilmore 93 Woo writes, cause he always wears pants for Shorts Guy, and why we call him Shorts Guy doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Although I will say there was one time. I remember there was one time I saw Shorts Guy come home after work, and he went straight. We met up somewhere, Shorts Guy, for something, and I saw him in pants, and I was pretty much traumatized. And he's like, "Yeah, I have a day job now, and this is what I have to wear." And I was like, "Really? You have to wear that? Well, don't ever. I don't want to ever see you wearing that again. I remember that conversation very well. Will Bauman writes a fun podcast tonight, and also Gilmore
Thanks
93
for
Lou in
listening,
the YouTube
homie.
Live writes the hashtag Wayne Train. Yes,
Yeah.
we love Wayne Simmonds. We love PK Subban, which, by the way, PK Subban's been absolutely hilarious on Instagram video.
Oh my God.
I love having him. I love having a character like him on the team.
We got to get him on the podcast. Somehow we got to figure out
somehow,
or
some
Lindsey
way.
Vonn or both. That's the goal, is both, right?
Yep.
So
we'll get him
but
on.
That's what we're going to be doing for season 3 on the Let's Go Devils podcast, and we will have periodic podcasts, breaking news, State of the Fan address with Nick Villano and I is going to go every Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. State of the Fan, we engage with our fellow Devils fan. We talk hockey, and we always want to know what you're thinking. Gentlemen, we took a great leap forward, or is it giant leap forward? Yes.
Well, I do want to remind everyone, whatever platform you listen to us on, make sure you set your notifications to notify you when we pop on over the summer. If there's breaking Devils news, we'll get on as soon as we can. Whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, however Twitch, however you listen to us, make sure you set your notifications up.
Definitely not.
Definitely. Well, I mean, listen, we try to have reaction within a short amount of time, because it's great to not only have our reaction, but it's great to get your guys' reaction too. So jump on, tune in,
and set your notifications so that when we go live, you will know and you'll be able to tune in right away. So set those notifications in your settings to let you know when we decide to just pop on when there's breaking Devils news.
By the way, guys, yeah, maybe we'll do something fun over the summer with our Twitch folks, all 3 of them. I was thinking of going over at Beer Baron's house and playing a little ice hockey, NES ice hockey or Blades of Steel.
Oh yeah, baby!
Test that thing out. Try to get our listeners and viewers to that. Because we want to start seriously. We want to start building a following on Twitch. We don't know why. Probably because we're not gaming, but also, we can always have fun doing color commentating, or if hey, maybe we'll travel down to see where Kevin Clark lives and maybe play some hockey games with them and have them announce the goals. On our podcast, something fun like that. But we'll try to get something in the works. But yeah, season 3 is going to be bigger, better than ever. Season 2 was amazing. We've done some fun things, live events, charity work. Breaking news podcast, added Nick Villano to the platform. We're probably going to start doing some fun things, but you got to stay connected with us. Keep us in mind. And any last words, guys, before I start queuing up the music?
Yeah, I'm going to put a guarantee on 2 guests, or at least I'm going to try my damnedest to get 2 guests on here, Kevin Smith and Brian Quinn. Those are going to be the two that I'm going to aim for the most. In the sphere of hockeyness, or ex-athlete or anything like that. But Brian Quinn from Impractical Jokers and the infamous Kevin Smith are going to make it happen.
I'm down for that. I just want to say, everyone have a great and fun summer, and before you know it, it'll be October 4th, and we will be back for another season of Devils hockey.
Of course, Jake Wakely writes. Of course, Jake Wakely writes, "Get Mikey McLeod on." Well, if we're having gaming night, I'm sure he'll come on.
Heck yeah, heck yeah, he will. Best. Won't you tell you all about my best friend?
I think it's time to cut it for the night.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the graphic. All right, boys. We'll be back for season 3 sometime in September. Till next time, look out for us on the World Wide Web.
Enjoy summer.
Let's go Devils.
Hey, where's the beef?